Hello and welcome back to Crit and Crit. I'm Scint,
I'm Axion.
and we are continuing our discussion of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, or the modern Prometheus, while we play through Castlevania Circle of the Moon.
I have to do this puzzle again because I died.
Well, I'm just going to start off with a quote.
Okay.
What may not be expected in a country of eternal light? I may there discover the wondrous power which attracts the needle, and may regulate 1,000 celestial observations that require only this voyage to render their seeming eccentricities consistent forever. I shall satiate my ardent curiosity with the sight of a part of the world never before visited, and may tread a land never before imprinted by the foot of man. These are my enticements, and they are sufficient to conquer all fear of danger or death, and to induce me to commence this laborious voyage with the joy a child feels when he embarks in a little boat with his holiday mates on an expedition of discovery up his native river.
That's from the beginning of the book, if I remember correctly.
Yep, Robert Walton explaining to his sister why he wants to go to the North Pole. I want to know things. I want to see things that have never been seen before. I just want to learn things that might help my fellow man. Can I discover magnetism and why the compass works the way it does? And that can benefit so many people. And you know what? The fact that I might learn these things and they might be able to help so many people, this alone is enough to get all of the fear out of my system. It will be worth it. Noble goal, huh?
Yeah, in theory. What's the catch?
It's really dangerous to sail in the Arctic Ocean, and there's a very high likelihood of, death.
Yep. Also, the Northwest Passage doesn't exist.
I think he's going to the North Pole, but...
No, he was trying... The point of going to the North Pole was to find the Northwest Passage.
That too. There were a lot of things there. Depressing news that was unrelated to the topic I wanted to talk about today. The Northwest Passage is a thing now, because the ice caps are melting. But, yeah. So, Robert Walton, as I've mentioned before, is set up as a foil to Victor Frankenstein. He is also on an expedition of knowledge, of doing things that man has never yet known, but would benefit greatly if I can just figure this out and prove the thing, and there might be danger, but it's going to be worth it. Except, he, as we mentioned at the end, he doesn't finish his voyage. He gives in to the crew and turns back, whereas Victor didn't let anything stop him and ultimately died as a result of it.
So today's subject is, accordingly, to seek knowledge. And more, and attendant, addition, something like that. I'm forgetting what the proper word is I'm looking for here. Addendum to that, knowing when to stop.
Yep. Can we just float Jeff Goldblum across the screen again, because that's going to keep being relevant?
Yeah, I think we're just gonna keep Jeff on call.
Good old Jeff. But, yeah. Victor at least has the self-awareness to realize that he's on this path because he went too far and he didn't stop when he should have. But I think he's learned the wrong lesson.
Okay. What do you think the lesson that he has learned is?
From everything he says throughout his narration to Walton, it seems like he thinks that knowledge itself is the cause of his misery.
Yeah, I can see why that would be an interpretation.
Like, I don't think it's interpretation. I think it's just straight up what he says.
I mean, I hate these things.
I mean, it's a way to interpret the events, but it's not an interpretation that Victor thinks that. He straight up says...
Yeah, sorry, I could have worded that better.
Yeah, so Victor's takeaway from the entire thing is not, maybe I shouldn't have done this. It's, I shouldn't have tried to learn things. And that is what we professionally call throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Sometimes there is knowledge that, when improperly used, can be very harmful. But that doesn't mean the knowledge itself is bad. The example I'm going to go with is, there are certain household chemicals that are commonly found in the home that, if mixed, will create a toxic gas. Is this bad knowledge to have?
I consider it good knowledge to have so that I don't accidentally kill myself by mixing cleaning materials.
Exactly! It's bad to do, but I would rather know that information and not accidentally do the thing that makes the air go on me. Victor, however, blames the knowledge rather than the action.
Which is a very Victor thing to do, let's be fair.
Oh, it is. That's why I'm saying that's why this is the topic.
Yeah, blaming the action would mean that it's his fault, because he chose to undertake the action. And as we know from the second episode, nothing can be Victor's fault.
Yep. And it's not even just that he undertook the action, it's that he had time to stop and think multiple times about following up on the action, and even before he started, as we mentioned in the last episode, he could have started small. He could have made a bird. He could have brought back a cat. Like, he was in the city. He could have just walked out back, found a dead cat in the alley, and brought it back. And you know how people would react to seeing a messed up cat in the street? They wouldn't. Have you seen how many stray cats look messed up?
Ma, there's a strange cat out back!
But, yeah, it's like, if he didn't have any intention of taking care of his creation once it was done, if he hadn't thought it through past making it, this would have been so much less disastrous if he had followed, his initial misgivings and not made a giant man. But not only did he choose to apply the forbidden knowledge that he had discovered, but he chose to apply it very poorly. He decided to make it easier to work with, made his creation bigger than it needed to be, thus ensuring it would never be able to fit in anywhere. Not that he thought that through, because, again, nothing in this process was thought through. The only thing missing from the narrative of Victor Frankenstein is the phrase, "Hold my beaver."
Well, he was British. It would have been hold.
No, he was Swiss.
Oh, right. What did I say?
Hold
British?
my cocoa. Because Shelley's British.
Right. And he does go to Britain at one point.
But, yeah. Is it fair to call the knowledge itself dangerous when it's really what you do with it that creates the danger?
I mean, that is a question that we are grappling with as a society to this day. Because,
oh yeah, like book bannings.
Well, not just book bannings. Though that is a big one, especially right now. there's also, like, it's less of a thing here, but certain other countries, especially in Europe, are a lot pickier with the kinds of information that is allowed to be freely disseminated without any kind of license. And that includes some historical discussions. And when you hear it from the people who are handling that sort of thing, or who grew up in that society, it makes 100% sense why they're doing things this way. Because of things that have happened in the past, and how it has shaped their society with regards to dealing with these situations. I thought I was far enough back. Like, if you're in Germany, they are very, very picky about how they let people talk about stuff.
I mean, as you should be, because, like, look what happens here when we don't crack down on that.
And that's kind of the point, is, to some degree, there is a reason that some of this information is probably best left obscure. But on the other hand, you could end up in a very similar situation where that information is being held back, and you end up with people who get pulled into the situation because they get the information from a more illicit source because they couldn't get easy access to something more official. And it's a difficult balance game. And different groups, different people, different authorities have come up with different ways of making that balance work. And I don't think there's any one answer. I'm going to just say that right off the bat. I think that what works for one group may not necessarily work for every group.
Oh yeah, for sure. But, yeah, I mostly wanted to look at this in the lens of just, when you have the main character saying this over and over again, that, oh, it is this cursed knowledge, how could I have been so foolish, throughout the entire book, you do often have people who take this at face value and don't actually read between the lines there, which is to say, Victor thinks it's the knowledge's fault, but the knowledge didn't exactly put a knife to his throat and say, do it, do it, do it. Victor did that all by himself. And it's just another way of blame shifting.
And that is actually kind of a problem that we find ourselves having to deal with in some cases, is people who do that completely seriously, completely without irony, 100% behave as if the knowledge itself is why things are dangerous, and thus expect everyone under their influence to remain ignorant for their own quote-unquote safety.
Alright, I'm gonna go somewhere with this, and I don't think people are gonna like it.
Go ahead.
Sex ed.
Yep, that's a really good one.
We can't let the children know about this. Why are all the teenagers getting pregnant? Because you didn't teach them how to avoid this situation.
Yes, we did. We told them not to have sex.
Sorry, you didn't teach them how to effectively avoid this situation, and we're not even going to get into all the non-consensual stuff that your community pillars are guilty of.
But yeah, that's an excellent example that is kind of omnipresent in our society right now.
And, like, I say this from a really weird perspective, considering I don't have a dog in this fight, because, ace life, yo.
Yeah, we are not saying this for our own benefit. We don't have kids.
Thank God.
And we're not going to have kids. We might get another dog.
But, yeah. And it's just one of those situations, because it's like, You can easily see throughout the story that knowledge is only seen in this light by Victor. Because Henry is excited to go off to school and learn interesting things, and never gets into trouble because of what he learned, only because of what Victor screwed up. The creation finds fulfillment through learning things. Like learning to communicate, learning how the world works, just learning in general. So, yeah, it really is only our irresponsible little boy here, who can never be wrong about anything, blaming knowledge rather than the one using said knowledge inappropriately. But I guess that's just going to be a recurring thing throughout society. Victor, as we've mentioned before, is in a position where he can largely be insulated from most of the ills of the world, therefore does not see fit to think things through, and is therefore unable or unwilling to consider that actions have consequences. It's not what you know, it's... Okay, it's the int versus wiz thing again. Knowing how to do something versus knowing when to do something. It's like if Victor maybe had been an actual doctor, it's like, okay, I know how to cut someone open for surgery. I should not do that if I'm not performing surgery. Oh no, I'm being arrested for murder. Why am I under arrest? I was just using the knowledge I was given in school. 'Cause you're a sociopath, my dude. Sorry, I went weird places with that.
I noticed.
You can take over.
I'm not sure I can top that.
I don't know where else to go. Let's just end this before I embarrass myself more. See, Victor, I knew when to quit.
I mean, there you go. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.